is a mix with Amsterdam. So
I got it! I know what I want to do with revision 3!
Too much.
Dude's a freak.
This episode of Techzilla is sponsored by Microsoft Unified Communications, Bank of America, and GoDaddy.com. Coming up on this episode, quit emailing. We've got the Optimus Maximus keyboard and Ryan Block from Engadget 2. Dealing with the heartbreak of Overscan on your HDTV? We can help. And mayhem, uncontrollable mayhem. So sit back, put on your riot gear, and get ready, because Techzilla starts now. Welcome to Techzilla. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
We've got a great show lined up for you today, but first things first. Last week we talked about the then current release candidate 2 of Firefox on the show. As of actually today when we're recording, which is a few days before Friday when you're probably watching this, Firefox 3 release candidate is out. Or is Firefox 3 actually out?
Firefox 3 is out.
It's out.
This is Tuesday was the super download day.
So the download day El Grande with the crash servers.
They may all the Mozilla servers went down for a while at least, but they may have already beat the world record. I don't even know. By this point, by the time you watch this show, the record may have been beaten.
So we won't know until approximately midnight tonight.
Yes.
So
by my
email us,
pretend
let us know what the
watch.
result on that is. Spreadfirefox.com if you're looking for the new version of Firefox.
Did you download it?
No, I couldn't get to the servers and I was writing scripts.
They went down. Excellent. You know, about the introduction today, it didn't have any food in it. It made me not want to watch the show.
I'm terribly sorry.
So we have to continue with our tradition of, sit back, make some popcorn, sit back, nuke some cheese sauce, eat a burrito.
I'm terribly sorry.
It gets me in the mood.
Kick back, call for a delivery, and get that pizza going, because Techzilla starts now.
That's better. That's
Is that
a
better?
little better, yeah.
Terribly sorry.
I feel more comfortable with that. So Patrick, you know how we did that whole Ustream thing last week where we did the live show?
And I got a lot of corporate email about it.
Yeah, it was very fun. Well, we're going to try to do that one more time, this time from the actual Revision 3 site next week. We're going to live stream the taping of Techzilla next week, Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific. So be warned that this might not be the whole complete show. We don't know yet, but just a taping of it. So there's not going to be any graphics or swooshing sound effects or all the pretty little extra things that you're used to seeing during the actual show that you get on Friday.
But you will get to see every rude and unconscionable thing we do in the cameras that normally is edited out or put in a nice, clean, sanitized section
Cursing
at the end.
Roger, cursing at the floor manager, bellowing for sodas, like I want to do.
Or the
Bring
infamous
me my Diet
Veronica
Coke!
Belmont. Red M&Ms in the dish.
Get them out!
Oh my
Out,
goodness.
I say! I can be a real diva.
No more wire hangers, Belmont.
It's frightening. So I'm excited. You're excited?
I'm excited. What's the website?
I don't know.
Revision3.com/watch.
There you go. That's the website.
Okay.
That'll be pretty good. I expected it just to be the normal Techzilla website, but that makes more sense to have like a special live area.
It's you know what? You'll see it when you get there.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Right now, though, we should get some email questions going.
Exactly. Email questions.
We got a question about replacing regular cell phone service with VoIP, the classic voice over IP. Brian says, my phone contact with Sprint ends this August. I thought I should have a plan as to what I could do. I was hoping I could do one of the following. Now, everybody following along at home, brace yourselves. A, buy a phone either from the carrier or from overseas and subscribe to only a data plan and make phone calls using VoIP. Also, a phone with Wi-Fi would help here. B, buy a phone either from the carrier or from overseas and subscribe to a cell network with minimal minutes and also be able to connect to a Wi-Fi connection for VoIP. C, I don't know, LOL, be a sucker and get regular phone service? Brian, okay.
Wow, that was quite the question.
Okay, thanks, bye.
I don't know, LOL. Well, yeah, so there are very few ways for you to get out of a data plan without a regular minute plan, at least in the US. VoIP isn't really a proper substitute for a regular cell phone. It's good for occasional calls, especially if you're overseas, like he mentioned, but you're probably not going to want to use it every day. Here's why. First of all, you can't jump from hotspot to hotspot when you're actually on a call, and unless you're sitting around one hotspot all day long, no one's going to be able to call you.
Right, so if you're doing the Wi-Fi thing.
Right.
Yeah, if you're doing the EVO, like an EVDO modem, in theory, you could have your EVDO modem connected and make calls, but the chances are you're going to need a computer to do a VoIP call over an EVDO modem.
Right. I mean, I've actually seen one guy who had his whole laptop, and then he had a modem with him, and then like a rotary-style phone or something, like an actual like hello phone in his car, so he could make mobile calls. That's crazy. Anyhow, back to the original answer. Plus, you're still paying for minutes when you call out to a phone number from VoIP. So unless everyone you know is already using VoIP as their primary line, you'll still be spending money.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You might be the ideal candidate for something like T-Mobile at home. It'll basically set you up with a router for your house, and you can make VoIP calls using the cell phone they give you. Then you can roam from your regular cell network to your router. It's going to save you, basically in minutes, right? Because as soon as you walk into the house, you get your Wi-Fi VoIP on. It's not a complete replacement, but it's a start. But something I think is, I've run into a lot of people who are basically scamming. I only want to pay $22 a month on my cell phone, and it's like, cell phones plans have gotten really cheap. And in fact, they've gotten so cheap that the unlimited plans might be a ripoff if you don't send like 27,000 SMS messages a month or text messages.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
I have no idea what that's like.
You're maybe the one person in North America that could actually make money with a $99 unlimited plan. Most people can take like a $60 900 minutes a month plan and still have a few hundred minutes left over that roll over month after month after month. Just shop carefully. Don't get too out of control trying to save money.
It sounds to me like you're almost more in love with the idea of doing this and actually saving the money. So it may be more of an inconvenience for you in the end. Anyhow, it's time now to thank one of our sponsors, Microsoft. They have put together a trailer for their VoIP software solution that's included at the end of this week's show. Find out what happens when a company man named Dan takes a stand against unnecessary hardware. So be sure to check it out.
Welcome to this week's Freebie Download Pick, a free program that we find useful, fun, or incredibly interesting. Today's selection, ObjectDoc. If you're an XP or Vista user who secretly wishes Microsoft had something as nifty and functional as OS X's dock in Windows, rejoice! With ObjectDoc, you can trade in that stodgy old Windows taskbar for something with a little more pizzazz. While ObjectDoc doesn't actually replace the taskbar in Windows, it's a great visual alternative. You can create shortcuts and see all of your current tasks the same way you would in the Windows taskbar, but you also get the ability to run applets, known as docklets, inside the dock as well. These docklets range from weather and web search to calendars and quite a bit more. If you want more, you can find them online with a simple ObjectDoc docklet search. But it doesn't stop there. Like the OS X interface that inspired it, ObjectDoc has plenty of eye-popping animations and colors. If you're not pleased with the default settings, you can customize the various look and feel elements of the dock, including color, size, and style. And like the docklets, if you want to find more icons, all you need to do is a simple search online. So if you're looking for a sleek yet elegant replacement for the Windows taskbar that you can get a little out of control with, definitely check out ObjectDoc. She's fabulous, she's wonderful, and she's my co-host on TechZilla, and I weep with joy every time I make this show. Are you ready for another round of viewer emails, Veronica Belmont?
Me?
You wanted me to hit the adjectives hard.
Oh, I love adjectives. For our next lovely viewer question, there's an adjective for you. Daniel wants to know why his TV doesn't look the way he was expecting. He writes, I have a 1080i 54-inch Philips TV hooked up to my computer so I can watch TechZilla in Grand HD. You look great. Aw, thanks, Daniel. But I lose some of the video off the edge of my screen. It's a real pain when I watch something with subtitles as they fall off the bottom of the TV or when I try and play a game in full screen. Okay, the technical stuff. I'm using an NVIDIA GeForce 8600 GTS with dual DVI out. One for TV, one for a monitor. Daniel.
Daniel, you're experiencing basically amounts to a 60-year-old technology being pushed into the 21st century. It's called Overscan, and Overscan sucks, and it's super common on HDTVs. Why? Because back in the bad old days of broadcast television and big glass cathode ray tubes, you didn't digitally map out your content pixel for pixel like you do on a modern computer monitor. So basically the area covered by video varied by manufacturer, and it got bigger when you made the image brighter. It's called blooming. So the network produced video that compensated for being cropped or cut off by the edges of your screen. Or more accurately, on many old CRT TVs, the bezel, the frame that wraps around the screen. So they have the idea of overscan, and title safe overscan, and action safe overscan. Sound annoying? It is. Even more annoying, most HDTVs were designed around these NTSC content standards, and they blow the edge of your video signal off the monitor so you don't see the icky edges or black frame around older content. And yeah, before any of the broadcast engineers in the audience email me, I'm oversimplifying here because we can talk about Overscan for hours. Oh, it's insane.
That's oversimplifying?
That's oversimplifying.
Fantastic.
There's like a 9,000 word Wikipedia article on this. There's an entire book written about Overscan. It's scintillating.
See what you started, Daniel? See what you started.
So the end result, though, for a lot of folks is when you use your PC or your Mac with your HDTV, a bunch of the screen is missing. The toolbar on Windows just disappears. Same for OS X, and there's no way to turn overscanning off on mini monitors. That really sucks. For example, my HDTV at home is a nightmare to not make the OS X dock or the Windows toolbar disappear. It's frustrating. There is hope, though, Daniel. First, make sure your TV is set for the correct resolution. And don't assume that your screen is actually an HDTV resolution. Case in point, my 720p TV should be 1280 by 720, but the native resolution is actually 1366 by 768, because that's an easier chunk of glass to get from LCD manufacturers. Thank you, LCD TV industry. 2, make sure your TV is non-zoom. Quit laughing. It happens.
I've done it before.
I've seen it. Yeah.
It's really like, why does this look so weird? And then you're like, oh, aspect, 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 and then it's better.
Check your remote control. And also, you got NVIDIA. If you're an ATI user, check your ATI drivers. There should be an overscan compensation in the Foursquare drivers. 8800 owners are going to have to do a registry hack. Everybody else should be able to match the output of your computer to your screen. Basically, display, look for the HTTV button, and you'll figure it out from there. Trust me.
All right, well, enough of this overscan business out of you. I think it's time we go for another video question.
Get excited. All right, we got a video question from Cal. Here's what he's looking to find out.
Hey guys, I wanted to know what Apple's new mail service called Mobile Me is like. Love the show. Thanks.
So Cal wants to know more about the new iPhone email service, and it's bigger than email. It's called Mobile Me. That's such a creepy name.
Yeah, Steve Jobs was very like, this is the new dawn of synchronicity in your mobile world, mobile desktop world.
I mean, Cal, if you find yourself looking at your multiple Apple computers or your PCs or mostly, though, your iPhone, basically, if you want everything to sync, the idea is that it's all push, right? So if you have multiple devices, you're going to be able to keep your contacts, your files. It's really
frankly,
underwhelming.
Well, it's not underwhelming, but just no one's seen it yet. So we haven't really formed an opinion on it because it's not coming out until the iPhone 2.0 software gets pushed, and that's not going to happen until the iPhone 3G comes out on July 11th.
Well, I mean, do you wake up, cold and sweaty in the middle of the night screaming because your iPod and your iPhone and your computers aren't in sync?
Yes.
Oh, well, in which case,
that's
Mobile
just me,
Me
though, so
is for her. And if you wake up with night sweats worrying about your multiple computer, home, phone, iPod devices not being in sync, Cal, you'll be thrilled about Mobile Me too.
Well, I mean, it'll be pretty and Ajaxy, and it'll look nice, and it'll be $100 a year, and that's pretty much all we know at this point. But eventually, I'm assuming someone's going to get a trial thing.
So you're waiting to be thrilled or not thrilled after it releases, and I'm just
frankly,
going to
I'm probably just not going to use it because I have everything on Google already. Like I sync everything that way, so whatever. But anyhow, guys, we want to see more of your lovely faces on screen, so please, please keep sending us your video emails. Remember to make the questions no longer than 15 seconds, upload them to YouTube, and email us with the link with video question in the subject line.
It's time now for a word from one of the sponsors that helps us bring Techzilla to you. This time, it's Bank of America.
What do you use for protection?
I don't use protection, to be honest with you.
You don't have.
Right, yeah, no.
Generation Z is just out of control.
Looks like it's time for another websites we just can't get enough of. A website that we just can't stay away from because it's too useful, too funny, or just too darn irresistible. Today's pick, Goodreads. Do you like books? Do you like the internet? Then Goodreads should be your new favorite social network. Not only can you keep track of all the books you've been reading lately, but you can also see what page turners your pals have been looking at too. The interface is really simple. Search for a book and then add it to one of your lists. You can use the list they provide, like to read or currently reading, or make up your own, like sci-fi horror or vegan cookbooks. Write reviews for your favorite books, join up on one of their hundreds of user-created book clubs, or search for new and interesting titles that are relevant to subjects of your choosing. If anything, you can impress your internet friends on how well-read you are. All right, I'm ready for some more questions.
You're not going to hit me again, are you?
Los preguntas.
Los preguntas?
Los preguntas.
Which means?
The questions.
Our email boxes were literally overflowing with requests for the Optimus Maximus keyboard after Veronica mentioned she had access to one in last week's show. In fact, this email from Roland summed it up quite nicely. I would love to see a demo of the really cool, uber silly Optimus Maximus keyboard. OLED is reported to be the future of display technology, but I would love to know how OLEDs respond to being pounded upon by ham-fingered geeks. Roland, we do not have a ham-fingered geek around, but we do actually have the man who has actually used one for months now. The head totem at Engadget.com, its fearless leader, Ryan Block. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Everybody, if you have the flashing coming in on the video at home, it's because Veronica is going to do something nefarious with a bunch of pictures she's taking right now. So quick, check her Flickr account.
Don't be nervous.
I'm not nervous.
Dude,
Go on TV all the time.
So, I like that thought. What? Okay, we just checked the exchange. The current exchange rate puts us at something like $1,800 US dollars.
Yeah.
What exactly?
If you can get one.
If you can get one. So, not only what exactly is the Optimus Maximus, and why would there be a rush on an $1,800 keyboard?
So basically, if you've never seen it before, I mean, it's been going around for a couple of years. This concept that has, turned into this product, and it's a keyboard where every single key on the board has its own independently controlled display.
And what's the resolution on these?
So each key is 48 by 48 pixels. It's OLED, so it's really bright, really crisp colors. I think it's 65K colors per key. They do animations, and you can map them depending on which application you're in and which keys that you press. So, if you hit caps lock, you see all the keys turn, capital. If you hit, like Alt, then you see the symbol keys. And
I'm like afraid to touch the $1,800 keyboard.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's set up to map right now to the caps, but we can show some of the key demos in a sec.
It's heavy.
It's built like a tank. It has an SD reader, it has a USB hub, it has a huge power brick.
So the SD is an actual, like, pulling pictures off my camera. You don't actually program this off the SD drive.
Actually, so that you can store like key maps and macros and stuff on the SD. It's not really meant as a media reader. It's really meant to kind of enhance, the abilities of the keyboard. If I pop that SD out right now, it's going to make the keyboard crash.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
So can you show us some of the key maps, the custom key maps?
Yeah. So you got the screen up here. This is the configurator, which is what they call the application. It allows you to kind of go through and add different key configurations. So let's start by creating a new layer, right? So on the keyboard right now, you just have the basic layout, function keys, alphabet, etc.
Got it.
You can do a couple things. You can grab a pre-made layer from off the internet. So here's an example of one that somebody did. It's just colors.
Oh, cool.
Or this one's a Photoshop macro, so it's got all your Photoshop tools. And you can import these and run them. So let's import Photoshop. So now I've got my Photoshop tools, and there they are.
I like that thought.
Now I'm going to disable that for
insane.
just a sec, and it should go back.
It did.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a condition on that. So it only shows the Photoshop tools when Photoshop is active. So conditions, Photoshop is active. So it should be off right now because Photoshop is not active. We'll go into Photoshop. Got some pictures up, and there it goes.
Oh, that's trippy.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the basic functionality. That's what people really like about this is,
Sorry, you're like alt-tabbing and I'm watching the keyboard
Right.
change, and it's kind of like keyboard change, and it's just surreal, actually.
But so they designed this so it's actually extremely easy to build these macros yourself, to build these keyboard layouts and what have you. So I'll show you another example. I'm going to make one. When you do is you hit this paint button right here. So I've got my blank layout, and I'm just going to put your photo in here, and Veronica's.
This is about to go from like strange to surreal. And is it going to overlay that picture on all those keys?
Yes, it will.
Okay, this
So-
is officially the strangest use of my image ever.
So I've got Veronica in there. I think Veronica's in one more picture over here.
Veronica's cat.
All right, so we'll put Veronica on the keypad. So if I save this, and there you go, and you should be on the screen now.
Oh, that's odd. That's really odd. It's also really funny the way it pushes the image out like a
Right.
slide puzzle. And then it just went away.
Oh, it timed out because we haven't been
okay.
using the keyboard. Yeah, it's got like its own screensaver, so it doesn't burn out the lights.
See, I want to see a screensaver like, flying toasters moving across it or something.
I'm sure somebody would develop that, but they turn off the keys so you don't, burn out the OLED screens.
There's a high barrier of entry to making a product like this. This took a lot of time and a lot of engineering.
I think it took about 3 years for Lebedev to do.
Well, and we should point out, who is Lebedev, and did Lebedev make this keyboard basically for his own amusement?
More or less, yeah. He's like one of the most prominent designers in Russia, and he had this idea, I guess, when he was like 20 or 21 years old. I mean, dynamic display-backed keyboards have been, talked about and theorized for decades, but nobody's ever really done it. And so he decided, I want that. I want that as something that I can just use. So he productized it. He just, they make widgets, they make like little products, and he's like, well, let's take it to the next level. So he built this keyboard.
Because everybody thought, like, who's this nut in Russia who's building this keyboard? It's like, well, why don't I just lay
I mean, to be fair to, there were a lot of people that worked on this product. I mean, he's not like a small-time operation. He's a very large company. But they're but they're a design company. They're not a consumer electronics company. So they were able to kind of really approach this problem and really think outside the box in terms of ways to make it happen.
And you say they're basically, are they selling as many of these as they can because demand's so high, or because getting OLED screens is so hard, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, these kinds of screens are not easy to get, first off, and when you can get them, they're expensive.
Right.
And an $1,800 keyboard, while there is a demand for it, is not that super high. So, I don't know what their bandwidth is in terms of sales, but I know that they are working on, lower price consumer models. You can get this same keyboard, but with fewer keys. So you can get like, the space bar and just a couple of these keys for, $500 less. You can get one with just this strip of keys as displays for even less than that.
So over time, the idea is that maybe they push out its little USB device that I can program little macros on for whatever application, or?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you're talking about like 10 years down the road, I think everybody's keyboards will look like this. I mean, dynamic keyboards, it's just going to be something that we all have when we can get, cheap and power-saving, technologies in order to enable that. But right now, it's like an $1,800 product.
In 10 years, it'll come with an e-machines.
Right.
You type for a living, right? In gadget website, you spend a lot of time playing with gadgets, and then you spend a lot of time typing on the web. How is it as a keyboard?
It's really not very good, unfortunately.
The touch typing speed.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did. I'm gonna try to type on this. I mean, the keys, they feel like a good size, and there's some good feedback there, but. Unfortunately, the larger they get, the kind of slower and stickier they are to press.
It feels like a vintage, not a teletype, but like a vintage keyboard from like a 1980s era. Client.
It doesn't
server.
have like the swing. It doesn't have the click. It's not really built for doing
like
all of your
super
typing
chiclets.
on. But I mean, like, let's be honest. If you have $1,800 to spend on a keyboard, like you have $100 to spend on a better one to use on the day-to-day. So
that's true. You get your spring switch keyboard alongside of it.
Exactly.
So who do you think is using? Is this kind of like super geeks that need a toy, or do you think there's a lot of people out there using these day to day?
I don't know how many like day-to-day users there are. I mean, I know Michael Dell has one. Like. I mean,
Michael Dell, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, the boys.
I think it's a specific audience. I mean, it really appeals to gamers and to designers, people who, there's a lot of utility for them to have, multiple key maps for some of the projects and the things that they work on.
Never remember control. Like, I have this vision of like World of Warcraft icons spread all over the keyboard.
I don't know how many WoW players, besides maybe Veronica, would actually pay $1,800 for one of these. Yeah, I know. She was like, Right, you gotta get me one of those. Oh my God, I have to have one for WoW.
I like that thought. Yeah. So, before you go, I got an Engadget question for you. What are you most excited about this year? What are you looking forward to?
That's really, I have to be honest. Maybe. So, this kind of made its official debut at CES, and it launched a few weeks later. And this was the product I was most excited about that was coming this year that I knew of.
I mean, it's a nice piece. It's trippy. It's a nice piece of engineering. I mean, it's also like a nice used car payment or payments.
Yeah, it's mortgaging your house for it. But no, I mean, this is a really unique product. You don't see stuff like this come along every day. I mean, you see a lot of consumer electronics products launched, every day.
Today we've added 100% Weasel into our cell phone.
Right,
Yay,
exactly.
More Weasel.
This is something that is very, very unique. I mean, it's not necessarily practical. Not a lot of people are going to have one right now, but I think it signals something for the road ahead for the way we interact with our computers.
And it's going to develop, and it's going to become something for all of us. Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time to come and show it off. And thanks on behalf of everybody out there. Ryan Block, people. Before we go, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors that helps us bring the episode to you. Remember, without them, you cannot have your weekly Techzilla fix. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com has what you need. .com names for as little as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and quite a bit more. And now you can tell your story to the world with .me, the top-level domain that's all about you. LandRush is only open until July 17th. Should the same domain be requested multiple times, an auction will be held to claim the name, so start saving your pennies and act now and create a unique, personalized space on the internet with .me. Plus, enter code TEK2, TEK2 when you check out and save an additional $5 off any order of $30 or more. Some restrictions apply. You can find out about them on the GoDaddy.com website. Do us a favor, get your piece of the internet at GoDaddy.com and enter in TEK2 when you check out. Support us by supporting them. More tough questions?
I think it is time to tackle more tough tech questions.
I like that thought.
Last week we mentioned that we would talk about podcast catchers that were an alternative to Apple's iTunes. Interestingly enough, Jim was thinking the very same thing. He writes, "I'm the one guy on the frickin' planet that refuses to use iTunes. I won't even give Apple the satisfaction of using the right character case for iTunes. Take that, you egomaniacal bastards." Any suggestions for a good alternative?
Wow.
That was strongly worded, Jim.
I just don't even know where to go.
Egomaniacal. I like saying that. There are many alternatives out there, of course, but since we mentioned it, we got a lot of good responses from viewers out there. Jeremiah says, "I use Juice. It's free, and I think it works pretty well. Also, it's cross-platform. You can get it at juicereceiver.sourceforge.net. And then we have others too.
Yes, Robert chimes in. He says, "You were saying on your last show that viewers were asking about RSS clients other than iTunes. Basically, podcatchers, they work for video too. You mentioned that you may do a show next time about RSS clients. I hope you mentioned some multi-platform RSS clients for OS X, XP, Vista, Linux. Actually, Juice is one of those. You can also check out Songbird, MyPodder by Podcast Ready, and Moreau from PCCulture.org.
You always say Moreau.
Moreau.
I like to say Miro.
You probably are saying it correctly.
You're
I'm a
probably
Philistine.
saying it correctly. I always say things wrong.
And
Anyhow.
now we're going to get emails about it.
Yes, we are. And finally, Thomas says there's one great free podcatcher that seems to be overlooked. I found I needed a new one when I upgraded to Vista. Yes, I love Vista, he says, but it works on XP as well. It also allows PC users to avoid crossing over to the dark side. Jobs does wear black after all, by avoiding Apple crudware. Oh man, this guy he's mad. What is this amazing free software? Well, it's the Zune software. Clever, 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 buddy. Ouch, that's a burn though. That is a burn.
Yeah, but
that hurts me right in the very core of my little Apple being. Get it? Core?
And for those of you who are wondering what this is all about, it's so you can automatically subscribe to the feeds, the RSS feeds, and actually have your client, whichever one of those you use, automatically download the show to your desktop week in and week out. And in case you're wondering, you can basically download the weekly, the daily, or both the weekly and daily, and all of those are available at subscription options at www.techzilla.com. Just go to the subscription options tab.
Yeah, it's pretty easy actually. I'm only subscribed to the weekly episodes because I can't stand that much of myself. So anyhow, next question. Nick writes in, "I'm converting an old Power Mac G4 into a web server to host my media company's website as well as some of my client sites without using the Mac-based server software. I was wondering if there is an open source way of doing this via Apache or something similar. Any recommendations?"
Absolutely, Nick. Apache.
Absasmurphy.
Absasmurphy?
Absasmurphy.
Okay, I'm not allowed to say that anymore after the incident. Apache actually runs great on OS X, or you can load Linux on that machine and run Apache, PHP, all that good stuff. From a hardware standpoint, no problemo. The G4 has enough juice to work as a server. In fact, rumor has it there's one running right now in the Revision 3 server closet.
Rumor has it, huh?
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it. Yes. Well, the bigger question here is your connection to the internet. If you want to move any kind of volume on that machine, whether it's big files or a lot of connections or like uptime is important to your clients, you'll want a business class connection to the internet, and a typical cable DSL connection isn't great for serious serving.
Better yet, you can use a colo or a co-location center where your machine would live inside a big honking data center with a fat connection to the internet. The problem, though, is that it's probably less expensive to use a machine owned by the ISP and rent it out to you on another rack than it is to put your G4 in a rack or a cage at a co-location center. Now, if you're doing small scale, non-public stuff, though, you can throw it on the net at work. Just make sure nobody's running torrents. And to Riz and Chuck and the Brothers White, I am not hosting any servers at work, I promise. And for all the security folks out there, do us a favor and keep on top of the updates for your operating system, Apache, and your configuration, or let a good ISP maintain it for you, because there's nothing worse than turning into some horrid center for evil because you can't bother to basically patch your servers.
I like to think of that as us being a hub for evil of some kind.
That can be arranged.
We're just brewing up the evil. And for all of you watching, we live on your questions, so email us, techzilla@revision3.com. Tech help, product reviews, how-tos, you ask us, we'll do it. Because we're little puppets like that. Little puppet masters.
We're
just
your puppets.
moving us around, making us do our things.
Really creepy, Veronica.
Right, so don't be shy. Thanks a lot. Send them in to techzilla@revision3.com.
And don't forget to catch the latest Pixel Perfect with Mr. Burt Monroy. He is a Photoshop magician, and he's going to show you in this episode how to create realistic hair and fur from scratch inside of Photoshop. It's a really cool project for anyone interested in creating creatures or human beings using Adobe's popular image editing tool or modifying creatures you know and love, like Veronica and I.
In our forums at revision3.com/forum.
Oh no.
It's there, really. And don't forget to stick around to watch a short video created by Microsoft. And we're conducting a survey to get some additional information about our viewers. That's you. We would love your feedback. If you have a few minutes, please go to revision3.com/tech3, that's TEK3, and take the survey.
And don't forget, we're going to live stream the taping of Tekzilla next week, Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Pacific. Now understand, this is not the complete show, but the taping of it. No fancy graphics, no swooshing sound effects, and there may even be language that's inappropriate for smaller viewers.
You know, and all our high-end CGI that we implement in this show.
That's how we're calling it.
We're just
now.
going to look like wireframes.
You can find the link at revision3.com/watch. WATCH.
That's it. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Till next time, you've been watching Tekzilla. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Veronica Belmont.
Have a great day.
We are at a communications crossroads.
You're really brave to take a stand like this.
Better to live on your feet than die on your knees.
You must be Dan.
Yes, I am he. So it begins. Installers will be here any minute.
Come on, little buddy. Come on, Don.
No, get away from me. We don't need your new hardware. What we need is new software.
They're coming in under cover of dark to avoid a scene. I keep hearing this.
Why didn't you just call me?
He's a very dangerous person.
You better have the freaking jaws alive, because I'm not coming down easy. The switch isn't going anywhere. Not today, not tomorrow. The PBX is mine.
Like
Holy
a
shit.
rock.
All right, guys, ready?
You want to play a little game, Veronica?
Let's play Lights Out.
Do you like books? Do you like the internet? Then Goodreads. Take that, you megalomaniacal. Damn it. Egomaniacal? Egomaniacal. I'm working on it. This is too much pressure. He's over there. Huh? No, I'm just talking to the air.
Starting on the 2.
Like we have feelings. Wow.
This episode of Tekzilla is sponsored by Veronica's ire with her beloved.
Can we have it on the 2-shot and I just go like this? And then Brian just goes like this?
Speaking of any Kovacs magic.
That would be so funny. Can we please do that?